You are watching QTV. Time now for the news. Here are the headlines. President Lungu has urged all regulatory agencies to work towards the common goal of promoting safe and healthy exploitation of the mineral resources. Government, in partnership with the Japanese government, has today launched the Phase 2 project to upgrade 3 health centers in Osaka to district hospitals at a cost of $35 million. With the news in detail, my name is Machamanda. President Edgar Lungu has urged all regulatory agencies to work towards the common goal of promoting safe and healthy exploitation of the mineral resources. Speaking during the official opening of the 2018 Copperbelt Mining, Agriculture and Industrial Networking and Enterprise Expo in Kitwe, the head of state says it goes without saying that strategies which promote sustainability in the farming sector through binding regulatory frameworks will optimize gains from the sector for the benefit of the country. President Lungu says this is why his administration has been enforcing legislation to ensure that exploration and mining only takes place upon approval of the relevant environmental impact assessments. He states that in this regard, the Ministry of Mines and Minerals Development is working closely with respective authorities to ensure that mining companies with environmental liabilities are provided with a framework to guarantee environmental security. On the agricultural sector, President Lungu notes that this sector continues to offer the greatest potential for economic growth and poverty reduction in the country. He says government will therefore continue with the viable programs to grow the sector, which offers immense opportunities to improve the well-being of the majority Zambians, especially in the rural communities. President Lungu laments that the changing climatic conditions have continued to threaten the agricultural sector. The head of state says the magnitude and frequency of negative climatic conditions, such as droughts, floods, and extreme temperatures, have continued to impact negatively on food and nutrition security, as well as livelihoods of the rural communities. He says government has responded to these challenges of climate change through the National Adaptation Plan Action, the Climate Change Response Strategy, and the National Policy on Climate Change. President Lungu says these national policies and plans promote climate-resilient agricultural practices and adaptation to climate change through technologies and services to enhance productivity, sustainability, and resilience of smallholder production systems. Police in Osaka have launched a manhunt for a Burundese national after he allegedly murdered a 33-year-old man of Chivolia compound by stabbing him to death in the neck using a sharp knife. Police spokesperson Esther Katongo has since identified the accused as John Kanjengemana, aged between 25 and 30, of Chivolia compound, and the victim as Philip Nyama, aged 33, also of Chivolia compound. Ms. Katongo says the incident happened at about 22 hours in Chivolia compound. Ms. Katongo narrates that the accused is alleged to have stabbed the victim on the left side of the neck using a sharp knife, and the victim sustained a deep cut and later died after severe bleeding. She explains that brief facts are that the suspect, who operates as a butcherman at the abattoir in Chivolia, had given some carcass and a knife to Philip Nyama, the victim, to keep for him, but around 22 hours, when he went to collect the carcass, a quarrel ensued. She says that was when the suspect is reported to have stabbed the victim using a knife, and he ran away. Ms. Katongo disclosed that the body of the deceased is in UTH mortuary awaiting post-mortem.
Police in Lusaka are looking for a male adult identified as John Kajengemana, aged between 25 and 30, a Burundese of Chivolia compound. This is in connection with the murder of Philip Nyama, aged 33, also of Chivolia compound, which happened yesterday at about 22 hours in Chivolia compound. The accused is alleged to have stabbed the victim on the left side of the neck using a sharp knife, and the victim sustained a deep cut and later died after severe bleeding. The brief facts which we have are that the suspect, who operates as a butcherman at an abattoir in Chivolia compound, had given some carcass and a knife to Philip Nyama, now the deceased, to keep for him, but around 22 hours he went to collect his items and a quarrel ensued. That was when the suspect is reported to have stabbed the victim using a knife, and he ran away. The body of the deceased is in UTH mortuary awaiting post-mortem, and police have launched a manhunt for the suspect.
Meanwhile, a driver of a Scania truck registration number 74 MZGP, Peter Kundava, aged 55, died while 2 other people sustained injuries after they were involved in an accident which happened yesterday about 15 hours at Mandondo area in Masaiti district on Indola Kabwe Road. Ms. Katongo says those injured are the driver of a motor vehicle Toyota Prado registration number ALR 3618 Wisdom Sinkamba and his passenger. She further narrates that the accident happened when the Scania truck, which was being driven by Peter Kundanda, now deceased, went and hit into a Toyota Prado registration number ALR 3618, which was moving in the same direction and later overturned. In a related development, a female adult identified as Sharon Mutale, aged 26, of Malundu Village, Chief Chitimukulu in Mungwe district, died upon arrival at Kasama General Hospital after she fell off a moving motor vehicle. And in another development, a 22-year-old man is feared dead after the boat he was in capsized on the Zambezi River in Kazungula's Mambova area yesterday. Southern Province Police Commissioner Boni Kapeso has since identified the deceased as Avito Mwansa of Kabaja Village in Chief Sekute of Kazungula District. Mr. Kapeso explains that the deceased met his fate when he was crossing into Namibia's Mpalila Island in company of a friend, identified as Muleta Simangolwa of the same village when the boat capsized. He says the duo had 3 bags of sweet potatoes and some mupani logs in the same boat, which forced the boat to capsize. The Southern Province Police Chief says the body of the victim is still missing while his friend swam to safety around 06 hours yesterday. Minister of Health Chitalu Chilufya has disclosed that the Kanyama, which was one of the main cholera epicenter in the country, has not recovered or recorded any case of cholera for more than 1 month and 2 weeks. And the Ministry of Health, in partnership with the government of Japan, has today launched the Phase 2 project of Upgrade Kanyama, Chawama and Chipata Health Centers to district hospitals at a cost of over $35 million. Speaking when he officiated at the groundbreaking ceremony at Kanyama First Level Hospital, Dr. Chilufya said the upgrade of Kanyama is part of government's big agenda through the Ministry of Health to expand health infrastructure in the country. Dr. Chilufya states that government's health system is strengthening agenda targeting universal coverage is firmly on course, as can be evidenced through the recruitment of over 10,000 new health workers, the upgrading of 2 first-level hospitals, and the construction of more than 300 health posts in the past 1 year. He has announced that the upgraded health facility in Kanyama will see the increase of bed space from the current over 50 to 130. He has since commended the people of Kanyama for working together with the Ministry of Health in eradicating the outbreak of cholera. He has further expressed gratitude to the Japanese government for its support in expanding and strengthening health systems and infrastructure in the country. And speaking at the same event, Japanese ambassador to Zambia, Endowu Sobashima, is optimistic that the Phase 2 project of upgrading the health centers to district hospitals in Osaka will increase the number of people having access to basic health services at hospitals close to their homes and also reduce on the congestion at the University Teaching Hospital. And the area Member of Parliament for Kanyama, Elizabeth Piri, urged the residents to utilize the facility, further expressing gratitude to the Ministry of Health and Japan government for the gesture. The 1.3 million euros Finnish government-financed 3 years capacity building twinning project has today come to its conclusive end. The project was being undertaken by the Zambia Public Procurement Authority, ZPPA, and has in Lusaka for the purposes of improving capacity in the Zambian public procurement process. Our staffer Lazarus Chula was at the closing conference of the project and brought us this report.
Today marks the end of the 1.3 million euros Finnish government-financed 3-year capacity building training project. The project, which has been jointly undertaken by the Zambia Public Procurement Authority, ZPPA, and House in Lusaka began in 2016 with the aim of rendering technical support in the Zambian public procurement processes. The output of the project covered, among other areas, improving leadership and management development and performance management. This is in addition to improving management capacity in the ZPPA and in selected stakeholders to implement the electronic government procurement, EGP. Improving internal and external communication was also included in the project. 3 years on since the project began, Finnish ambassador to Zambia, Timo Okenen, is hopeful the output of the project will bear positive results in the Zambian public procurement processes.
We will hear more about the results of this project, about the improved efficiency and accountability in the public procurement, as well as the trainings received by ZPPA staff. I have had the opportunity of meeting some of those staff when they have been visiting Finland, and judging from the weather, not always at the most pleasant of times in Finland, but I do think that this has given depth and richness into the program and indeed towards our cooperation.
ZPPA Director General Dennis Tisenda is thankful to the Finnish government for supplementing its authority's efforts in capacity building rendered through the Twining Partnership Project. For Mr. Tisenda, such improved capacity has enabled the ZPPA to push for the reform agenda, which has now culminated in the implementation of the EGP system.
The project, among other things, aimed at creating capacity within ZPPA, and the following important areas have therefore been covered under this technical assistance: improved leadership, management, and development performance management, improved human resource management and development, improved management capacity in ZPPA and in selected stakeholders for the implementation of the electronic government procurement EGP system for increased transparency and accountability in public procurement.
House Training Manager Carl Johan Nordbeck is pleased that the project enabled both Zambia and Finland to share experiences in public procurement.
We can all be proud of the result of this project, even if the project is coming to an end soon. I wish that the good cooperation between the partner organizations will continue. It's important that the networks and friendships created during the years will stay alive and not be forgotten. In projects, participants usually learn a lot from each other. In-house, we have been impressed of your enthusiasm, your way of discussing, motivation.
Democracy, inclusive society, public procurement, anti-corruption, partnership, training, and capacity building stood out as the key words of the just-ended project. This was all meant to strengthen the institutional capacity of the ZPPA to implement its mandate. Lazarus Sichula, QTV News, Lusaka. Today,
the Center for Trade, Policy and Development, CTPD, notes that the scale of Zambia's debt, and in particular debt from Chinese sources, is staggering. CTPD Executive Director Isaac Mwaipopo says Zambia's debt burden has risen dramatically in recent years, and Chinese loans form a major part of the debt. Mr. Mwaipopo states that there are clear, legitimate concerns that this public debt is no longer sustainable, meaning that the government might soon be unable to repay what it owes. He argues that a key priority for the government must therefore be to renegotiate its Chinese debt, noting that not only are the debt levels rising, but the level of Chinese loans borrowed by the government for infrastructure and the natural resources projects is significant. He states that the restructuring of this debt is critical if Zambia is to avoid the debt distress that the IMF is warning against. Mr. Mwaipopo says there is a severe lack of transparency over many key terms, including what public assets are being used to secure these loans, and that official government statistics on Chinese loans do not give the full picture.
But what is of concern to us is that most of these initiatives seems to be funded with foreign financing, We do understand that almost every country gets into borrowing at some point in order to finance development, but we also think that countries have to borrow what they can manage to pay back. We remain deeply concerned that this country has acquired a number of loans from various sources from the People's Republic of China, and we undertook a study that we hoped would inform us on the exact amount that this country owes, and the picture is actually not very clear, with estimates indicating that as of 2016 the country had acquired close to $1.6 billion US dollars. What is also concerning to us from the civil society is that the terms and conditions under which these loans are acquired are not very clear.
Lawyer Hope Dekabwe says the Financial Intelligence Center, FIC, should apologize to the people cited in its 2017 report released recently. Mr. Kabwe says FIC's revelations are highly prejudicial on the part of those who have been cited in the report and to the investigations that may follow by investigative wings. He says it is not the duty of the Financial Intelligence Center to expose people involved in financial crimes, but investigative wings and institutions of justice. He says what the center should have done is present its findings to investigative wings such as the Anti-Corruption Commission, instead of deeming those who have been cited as guilty even before they are subjected to institutions of justice. Mr. Kabwe has since urged the center to make amends on what has been published and apologize to those who have been cited in its report.
As to make a clarification that those people have not been found guilty, because in the manner that it was presented, it appears they are guilty, even when the law presumes everybody as innocent until proven guilty after a trial through a competent court of law. Now, in the manner that they have done that, it's a wanton disregard to human rights. It's a wanton, and as such, FIC ought to make a clarification and perhaps even an apology, so that people's standing should not be tarnished in the manner that it does. Because in the report, it looks those people are guilty and have to prove their innocence. That is fundamentally wrong, procedurally, and even in terms of people's rights, people's standing. So that really has to be clarified. Let there be remedial measures on the part of FIC.
And in a related development, People's Alliance for Change President Enford Banda says there is no need to continue attacking the Financial Intelligence Center, Director General Mary Schumer, for publishing their investigations. Mr. Banda says this is not the first time the center is availing to the public with such fraudulently information, and wonders why some stakeholders are attacking the center for such an innovative move. Mr. Banda tells QTV News that it is imperative that those stakeholders who are condemning FIC should desist forthwith and allow the center to continue working hard in exposing such fraudulent transactions. He has also disagreed with Chief Government Spokesperson Doris Leah that the center has broken in internal communication channels by availing to the public such kind of sensitive information.
I'd like to condemn in the strongest terms the attacks that have been leveled against the Financial Intelligence Center, in particular Madam Mary Schumer. I think if you look at the question of whether those issues must be reported, I think this is not the first time the Financial Intelligence Center has given us a report on the fraudulent dealings that have been going out between some so-called powerful businessmen and politically exposed persons. I think for us, we don't see any reason why the Financial Intelligence Center must not report to the public about their findings. In any event, they have not indicated, names in that report, but they have just given us, hints of the frauds that have been happening. And if you look at the things that they have reported, these are things that have already been in public domain, and it is easy for you to actually, connect to the people that are involved. So We want to advise all those that are attacking the, Madam Mary Shumba to desist. And if you look at the people that are attacking her, the people who are most likely, are connected, to the reports that have been issued.
A total of 13 hospitals around the country are soon expected to receive X-ray equipment under 20 million kwacha grant from the Japanese government. Japanese ambassador to Zambia, Hendobu Sobashima, has disclosed. Mr. Sobashima says for Zambia to continue achieving further development in a sustainable manner, the strengthening of the health sector among other sectors is important. He has since stated that, therefore, the government of Japan intends to contribute to the process of strengthening the health sectors by further introducing high-quality Japanese medical equipment to hospitals in the country. He has since announced that the process of providing the 13 hospitals with X-rays worth over 20 million kwacha is currently underway.
In addition to this upgrading of health centers to first-level hospital, government of Japan provided funding for procuring quality X-ray equipment to a total of 13 hospitals throughout Zambia. That's what I explained also, yes.
When are we expecting them?
No, it's in the process of delivering the X-ray equipment to 13 hospitals throughout Zambia. It's in the process, yes.
The Lusaka Magistrate Court has sentenced a Zambian Postal Services Corporation security manager to 36 months imprisonment with hard labor for corrupt practices involving 14,000 kwacha. Resident Magistrate in Chimunya, Simaubi, found Silver Simudumo, 54, of house number N430 Nangongwe, Kafue, guilty on one count of receiving gratification for having given assistance with regard to execution of contract, contrary to Section 29(1)(a)(1) of the Anti-Corruption Act number 3 of 2012. Details of the offense are that on unknown dates, but between 1st January 2012 and 31st December 2014, Simudumo, being a public officer, namely a security manager for Zambia Postal Services Corporation in Lusaka Province, Zambia, jointly and whilst acting together with persons unknown, did accept 14,000 kwacha from Pajoy Security Limited as a reward for having given assistance to Pajoy Security Limited with regard to execution of a contract, a matter or transaction concerning the Zambia Postal Services Corporation, a public body. Mr. Simudumo was arrested by the Anti-Corruption Commission in June last year. His sentence is with effect from 5th June 2018. Meanwhile, the Anti-Corruption Commission has arrested a woman in Kitwe for corrupt practices involving 1,500 kwacha. Ms. Matilda Lesha of Alliance Emotions in Kitwe was apprehended by the Commission during an operation after she received a sum of 5,000 kwacha from a Mr. Ngalabika. Details of the offense are that Ms. Lesha, while posing officer in the Zambia Correctional Services, solicited for 1,500 kwacha from Mr. Ngalabika in order to facilitate his recruitment as a warder in the Zambia Correctional Services. Ms. Lesha is expected to appear in court soon. This is contained in a statement issued to Q News by ACC Public Relations Manager Timothy Mono. The State 55 Africa has noted the need for countries on the continent to come up with programs that will see Africa reclaim its worth by utilizing its resources. State 55 Africa is a continental, neither non-partisan for religious pan-African movement with chapters in almost all African countries, which advocates for Africa's economic emancipation. Zambian chapter spokesperson Leonard Hikaumba tells Q News that the movement was formed after the harsh realization that the identity of Africa is slowly being lost. Mr. Hikaumba has noted with concern how African resources are being used to benefit and develop countries outside the continent, leaving African countries on the losing end. He states that Africa suffers from the problem of unemployment when it has all the necessary resources it can use to create employment, especially for the youth.
We have seen that the resources that come from Africa are usually utilized to develop other countries outside Africa, to give jobs to people outside Africa, leaving the owners of these resources in poverty and without jobs. So we are saying the African people should have a platform where they can now advocate that the resources that we have in Africa should benefit the African people themselves and their continent. People are free to join. It's a non-partisan organization. It doesn't segregate politicians, the clergy, traditional rulers, ordinary people. Anyone is free to join this movement as long as they believe in the prosperity of Africa, as long as they believe that Africa, with its resources, should prosper accordingly. We produce a lot of resources, but these resources are not usually processed in Africa, some of them, and they are used for the prosperity of other continents, which is a very big disadvantage. Yeah. So along the way, we shall be trying to encourage Africans to have a different perception about themselves. They should redefine them.
Accountability advocate Zambia AAZ is confident that with commitment, Zambia is likely to meet the Sustainable Development Goals (SDGs) by 2030. AAZ Executive Director Chilufia Chembe notes that the government has included about 75% of the SDGs in the 7th National Development Plan, which he says will help in the attainment of the goals. Mr. Luchembe tells Q News that the attainment of the SDGs will come with a lot of benefits to the Zambian people. He says what is important is the monitoring aspect to track the progress made in attaining the goals.
We want to ensure that at the end of 2030, the Sustainable Development Goals are attained, and indeed we know that once we start making headways or progress to the attainment of the Sustainable Development Goals, every Zambia will be empowered, every Zambia will be able to live in a sustainable country where they are able to exercise their rights, where they are able to have enough food and ensure that they contribute to the development of the country, and at the end of the day have a sustainable nation. So achieving the Sustainable Development Goals is key and paramount and very essential in every aspect of government.
Over 52 evangelists from Europe are in the country to preach the word of God, Adventist World Radio representative Kent Shape has disclosed. Mr. Shape has told Q News that the evangelists want to preach the word of God to enhance Christianity among Zambians. He explains that the major objective is to ensure that many people become baptized. He adds that the Adventist World Radio has since bought airspace in various media houses to strengthen awareness for the noble cause.
For the last 3 months, Adventist World Radio has been investing in airtime all across Lusaka, Livingston, Victoria Falls, where we're holding these meetings. We've invested every day. We've been broadcasting on the radio the good news of Jesus, these evangelistic meetings as pre-work, so people start learning about what is going to happen. This is a major event for Lusaka, for Zambia. Our goal here, our prayer goal, is to have over 100,000 people baptized by the time we are done in 2 weeks. It's a challenge. We're challenging the Lord to help work with us, to spread the good news of Jesus and to change Lusaka for the better.
That item concludes our news, but before we go, here's a recap of stories in the headlines. President Lungu has urged all regulatory agencies to work towards the common goal of promoting safety and healthy exploitation of the mineral resources. Government, in partnership with the Japanese government, has today launched the Phase 2 project to upgrade 3 health centers in Lusaka to district hospitals at a cost of $35 million US. That's it up for the news. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.